top inventions.
The behind-the-scenes tales of hit products and creations from Japan. This is Japan's Top Inventions. This time, the story behind 2D barcodes.
Japan's top inventions. Top inventions.
Found on the labels of packages in supermarkets. Printed on the front of vending machines. An essential part of plane tickets scanned at airport gates. In Japan, you can spot these black and white squares everywhere. Do you know what they're called?
That is a QR code.
Yeah. QR code.
That's right. QR stands for Quick Response. Scanned with a smartphone, the data from these codes appears in a flash. QR codes now used worldwide were created by this man, a Japanese engineer who has worked in the industry for 40 years. His inspiration? Skyscrapers. The subsidiary of a car component manufacturer in Agui, Aichi Prefecture, known for the creation of QR codes. On display here are some of the latest code reading products. This type features a grip. It allows you to instantly read codes at a distance.
Our story begins in the Japan of the 1960s. People working at supermarket registers were suffering from serious numbness in their wrists. Punching prices into the registers one by one over a period of many hours caused numbness and sometimes even tendinitis. This problem was finally solved by a 1970s American import, barcodes. Just pass the code over a reader and the price pops up. This meant emancipation for clerks and their numb wrists. Thereafter, barcodes were introduced in a variety of factories and workshops. Used for instant updates on the status of materials, barcodes became vital at such production sites. One man involved in building barcode readers was Masahiro Hara, an engineer at a car component manufacturer.
Barcodes had become a normal part of distribution and production. We created one of the earliest readers, which put us on top of the industry. It was our first big success outside the automobile business.
But as the 90s began, Hara received a disturbing message. Barcode reading is becoming a very difficult job. Hara raced to the scene and was surprised by what he saw. Boxes of parts were covered in barcodes. Readers of the time could only scan 20 characters of data at once, so when the data increased, so did the number of barcodes. An idea popped into Hara's head. If he could create a code that could pack in more data, it would ease the workload of those on the scene. In June of 1992, a development team led by Hata was formed. The quest for a better barcode had begun. The first challenge was how to add more data. Hata turned to a technology developed in the US during this period: 2D barcodes. Normal barcodes were one-dimensional, made up of bars along just one axis. But 2D barcodes used vertical and horizontal axes, allowing for more information. Using this idea as a base, the team aimed to create their own original 2D barcodes. Their goal was to pack in more data than any existing code. Hata researched for days, thinking up unique methods for compressing large amounts of information. The result was a small square that could fit 7,000 characters of data. But Hata was worried. If a printout containing this new code were bent or warped, would it still scan? His fears were calmed by a surprising source.
On a lunch break, we happened to sit down for a game of Go. You have to place the stones right where the lines intersect on the board. But even if your stone is slightly off, your opponent understands where it's supposed to be. I thought 2D barcodes are probably similar. They'll still work if they're a little off.
Another crucial component was speed. How quickly could these codes be read? Hata printed one out and gave it a try. He soon discovered a major problem. The reader couldn't scan the code. Why? The text surrounding it. That text was interfering with the scan. In real-life situations, barcodes were surrounded by text, which made these new codes infeasible. Hata was at an impasse. He began looking for fresh sources of inspiration to produce readable codes. One day, as he was riding the train to work, the scene outside the window brought him to a standstill. It was a skyscraper towering over the other buildings nearby.
I was just looking out the window when I noticed a tall building standing out from its surroundings. That scene stuck with me. I realized the code, too, needed a special symbol, something to make it stand out from the surrounding text.
What could he use to make his 2D barcodes stand out? He tried an L shape, a surrounding box, and more, but nothing quite worked. Next, he turned to the ratio of black to white on printed materials. For example, this region has a ratio of black 1, white 4, black 8, white 4, and black 1. Hata wondered if his codes would stand out if they used an unusual black to white ratio not found elsewhere. The team members assembled large stacks of things like newspapers, magazines, and cardboard boxes. They scanned samples of text and images into their computer, building a large database of standard black to white ratios.
We built our own custom software just to do it. We scanned the materials by day. The computer processed it by night. Then we assembled the data in the morning. We just kept repeating the process, with the computer cranking along 24 hours a day. We were desperately hoping to find that unusual black to white ratio.
The team pushed forward for a whole 3 months. As a result, Hada finally discovered his rarely printed golden ratio of black to white. That golden ratio was 1:1 to 3:1 to 1. Using this ratio, he created a small box and placed that box on the corners of his 2D barcode to help it stand out. Right away, he tried scanning this new code with the reader. It successfully read the code in an instant. With that, in March 1994, the new 2D barcode was finally complete. This barcode allowed large amounts of data to be read in a flash. That inspired its name, Quick Response, or QR code. Hada had successfully created a new 2D barcode, but would anyone actually use it? He couldn't be sure.
I was quite nervous about whether people would adopt these new codes. They were unlike anything most people had ever seen, and I was afraid that might give them pause.
Hada headed to an automobile industry trade association. In front of representatives from several firms, he provided a demonstration of his new codes using a code scanning machine. If he couldn't convince them of the code's value, his hard work would come to nothing. Nervously, he placed his hand on the switch that would start the reader. The reps reacted with shock and awe.
Everyone said how amazed and surprised they were. That memory really sticks with me. I was thrilled. That demonstration convinced me that they would actually adopt the codes.
The industry had acknowledged the power of Hada's new 2D barcodes. One after another, Japan's car companies quickly adopted them for their factories and warehouses.
Top inventions.
Thereafter, drug companies, clothing makers, and many other industries began to use 2D barcodes. And new uses pop up all the time. This is a street corner in India. Used at this vendor, the 2D barcodes born in Japan. Around the world, the codes are making cash-free payments a snap.
If you have a vision for what you want to do, take that vision and work step by step to make it a reality. The fact that this thing I created, this idea I had, has become adopted worldwide is the highest of honors for me as an engineer.